As wrenches turn and oil flows at this Cambodian bike shop, mechanic Che Leng Hoc has a new tool in his kit: artificial intelligence.
ស្រួលជាងគេចំណាយតិចដោយសារតែអត់ចាំបាច់ជួលបុគ្គលិកផ្នែកមួយគ្រប់ផ្នែកទាំងអស់ទេដោយសារយើងរស់ស៊ីតូចអញ្ចឹងអាចមានបុគ្គលិកគ្រប់ផ្នែកបានទេ
Che Leng is an exception in a country where just 1% of people have advanced IT skills. Globally, AI is driving a digital divide.
In Asia, I think rich AI nations like China, South Korea, and Singapore, they are reaping digital dividends because they own the infrastructures and also data.
Cambodia and other countries at their stage of development may never catch up because the pace of change is so rapid.
But Cambodia has a plan to bridge the gap.
I see opportunity in Cambodia. There are different sectors that can use AI to increase their productivity.
What will it take for developing countries to close the AI divide?
We need AI developers, we need AI programmers, computer scientists, engineers.
And what happens if they cannot?
បារម្ភហ្នឹងតាំងបារម្ភគាត់ថាបើគេប្រើម៉ាស៊ីនអីចំនួនមនុស្សចាប់ហើយកូនខ្មែរអត់មានការងារធ្វើហើយចំណូលលែងបានបណ្ដោយ
Cambodia, a country of some 1.8 million farming households. Many still till the land and tend their crops in the traditional way. In Phnom Penh, a group of university students wants to bring Cambodian farming into the 21st century by using artificial intelligence.
So when the leaf is turning yellow, just take a snap photo about the leaves. Make it sure that it's closer and clear and send it direct to the chatbot. So it's saying that the leaf is getting the less of the fertilizers and also the insects that might affect the leaf turning to yellow.
So we notice a lot of problem around us through social media, friends and family that they grow crop at home and they face similar problem like the leaf turning yellow, crop loss, crop failure, and when they face that problem, they post it on TikTok and Facebook, and they need to wait for others to reply. And by the time that they wait, they lost their crop already. And that's why we create a chatbot that can help the home grower to get a reliable and quick answers about their farming advice.
In China, AI-powered robots assemble solar panels with minimal human supervision. In India, algorithms write, test, and debug software code, shrinking teams that once employed thousands. In the US and Europe, AI predicts inventory demand and automatically places orders. The world is in the midst of a fourth industrial revolution, and at its core is artificial intelligence.
I think what's been really interesting in AI is both the speed but also the breadth of how the technology is impacting people. So AI has the potential to do something like optimizing workflows, doing more with data, increasing efficiency of public services, but also enabling small companies to leverage on AI to behave more like big companies.
Across ASEAN, AI could add nearly $1 trillion in GDP by 2030. Countries and companies are racing to adopt the technology, a step Cambodia too is keen to take.
Cambodia, we understand we're a small state. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean that we are not able to capture it and maximize its benefits or develop our own AI.
I think AI has a huge potential to improve economic outcomes in Cambodia. Think about small and medium enterprise. They probably spend a lot of time on paperwork, but AI has the potential to automate that kind of tasks, inventory, logistics, for example. And in agriculture too, we're talking about precision, when and where to exactly water or fertilize. So yeah, I think it's quite a lot of potential.
But when Meng Ho Chia, whose team created the farming chatbot, tried to test out their AI tool in the field, they hit a snag.
We're looking to expand to farmer, but we have two main reasons that we stop. First is a network connections. Especially a lot of farmers struggle with network connections, and our chatbot need a online access. And second, with AI readiness. Most farmers are not comfortable with AI chatbot or the text-based system. They prefer face-to-face guidance and voice communications.
Meng Ho's experience underpins a real concern of the AI-driven revolution. Countries that are ready for AI stand to gain. Those that aren't risk falling further behind.
So one of the risks around AI is not just what it does, but who gets left out. And so one scenario for AI is that it becomes very much a first world technology, making some of the richest companies in the world even richer.
Access to data, computing power, and skills is already uneven. AI could deepen this digital divide, a gulf experts call the AI divide.
In Asia, I think rich AI nations like China, South Korea, and Singapore, they are reaping digital dividends because they own the infrastructures and also data. And conversely, you have some developing countries that are lagging behind and that are facing multiple challenges, including a lack of data infrastructure, low level of digital literacy, and also limited localized data sets. You might end up becoming consumers of other countries' AI technologies rather than building your own economic value.
Oxford Insights publishes an index to gauge a government's AI readiness. In ASEAN, Singapore sits on top, followed by Thailand and Malaysia. Cambodia is near the bottom, just above war-torn Myanmar and underdeveloped Laos and Timor Leste.
I think the assessment reflects a real challenge in Cambodia. We are still at an early stage of AI adoption, and our infrastructure is still maturing.
AI readiness has both a soft and a hard infrastructure element to it, irrespective of the level of development of the country. The soft element, of course, is in terms of human capacity and skills development. And the hard is the related physical infrastructure that's associated with the digital economy.
There's urgency for middle-income countries like Cambodia to catch up. 5 years ago, AI could only follow instructions. Last year, AI could create. The next breakthrough could bring about general artificial intelligence, AI that can match or surpass human cognitive ability. The technology is progressing at an exponential rate.
With the digital economy, there was a bit of a latecomer advantage in certain cases. The best example here for Cambodia, given the timing, was wireless technologies coincided with their development to adopt greater connectivity, and so they didn't invest heavily in wired telecoms and moved almost completely and quickly into wireless. So that was a huge social saving. With AI, there's less of that, and in fact it's a latecomer disadvantage. Then you're forever catching up, and you may never catch up because the pace of change is so rapid.
On the northeastern edge of Phnom Penh, Saran Song is overseeing the transition to full automation at Cambodia's biggest rice exporter. By 2027, Amru Rise plans to complete a sophisticated new facility near Phnom Penh, designed to be AI ready.
We want to make sure our machine it keep running on low breakdown and less rework. More AI gonna able to allow us to reduce the risk of quality failure, rejection at shipment. We want to show the world and to show our customer, especially in Europe and United States, that Cambodia have fully upgrade in our system.
Saran's ambitions face a critical hurdle. Farmers still keep records manually, and so there is a lack of digital data for AI training.
We are in the learning process compared to neighboring countries. They are more already deployed. Even at Amru, we are strong, but at the end farm side still weak. So we need to improve the farm. But it's not just one company do, but we need a whole policy, a government policy to build this ecosystem.
But there's a silver lining for Cambodia. Though still ranked relatively low, the country has climbed 27 spots in Oxford Insights Index compared to 2023. The rise reflects concerted efforts to strengthen the country's capabilities, captured in its National Artificial Intelligence Strategy, launched in July last year. Soti Kao is with the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications, which drafted the plan.
There are 6 priorities or 6 strategies within our national AI strategy. We need collaboration, we need people, we need technology, we need a digital government, and we need sectoral promotion, and we need to respond to the risks. So all 6 we're doing at the same time. I would say they are all challenging.
What are Cambodia's most pressing challenges as it prepares for the AI revolution? "90 minutes south of Phnom Penh, in Kandal province, IT class is in session for these 16-year-olds. Today's lesson, creating tables in Microsoft Word.
យើងមើលឃើញថាក្មេងៗជាពិសេសតាមជនបទសំបីតែកាន់ម៉ៅឬកាន់ keyboard គាត់ញ័រដៃតែគាត់ភ័យគាត់ខ្លាចខូចឬក៏គាត់មានអារម្មណ៍ថាអូអានេះលយឬក៏និយាយទៅគាត់មានអារម្មណ៍ដូច barrier មួយដូចមានរនាំងមួយបាំងគាត់ពី technology ឬក៏ ICT typing ណាគេក៏ចេះ typing ដែរកូនសិស្សគាត់ចាប់ផ្ដើម type យឺតឥឡូវហ្នឹងគាត់រៀងលឿនគាត់ type លឿនជាងមុនគាត់អាចប្រើប្រាស់នៅ office work បានគាត់មានជំនាញទាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងការប្រើប្រាស់កុំព្យូទ័រទូទៅ
According to one 2022 government report, just over a fifth of Cambodian schools have functional computers. This school got its devices installed just 8 months ago. The computers are made by Kumpi, Cambodia's homegrown laptop brand. The lab was built with funding from a Korean NGO.
ដើម្បី set up កុំព្យូទ័រមួយដែលមានកុំព្យូទ័រចំនួនប្រហែល30ទៅ36គ្រឿងដើម្បី run បានយើងត្រូវការថវិកាចំនួនប្រហែលជា$10000ដើម្បីធ្វើ lab មួយបានអាហ្នឹងតែកុំព្យូទ័រ lab ទេតែកុំព្យូទ័រ material ដែលបានថាមានកុំព្យូទ័រមាន monitor មាន keyboard មាន mouse មានអីចឹងទៅប៉ុន្តែតើតងជាមួយនឹងបន្ទប់បរិក្ខារអាហ្នឹងគឺជាការចំណាយផ្សេងទៀតរបស់សាលា
ក្នុងមួយថ្នាក់វាមានរហូតដល់ថ្នាក់ខ្លះ50ថ្នាក់ដែលច្រើនបំផុតដល់65 66បងហើយកុំព្យូទ័រឃើញជាក់ស្ដែងគឺវាមានតែ25គ្រឿងទេអញ្ចឹងសិស្សម្នាក់អាចកុំព្យូទ័រ1ទៅ2ទៅ3កុំព្យូទ័រមួយសម្រាប់សិស្សដល់3នាក់អញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលគាត់ practice គឺអត់បានសពគ្នា
This school highlights one of Cambodia's biggest AI bottlenecks, digital literacy and skills. In 2020, just 3 in 10 Cambodians had basic digital skills.
So installing computer lab is easy. You just put, let's say, 10K, be there, and that's the computer. But then if there is no knowledge transfer person, no facilitator. The computer, it's just a brick.
Because of this, the Cambodian government has identified upskilling its people as a key priority in its AI roadmap.
We need AI developers, we need AI programmers, or computer scientists, engineers. And we understand that in the world, there's a lack of them. Even the professionals, the accountants, the lawyers, the workers, they all need to know how they can utilize AI.
However, Cambodia's past means it started out on the back foot. In the late 70s, under the Khmer Rouge rule, more than 90% of Cambodia's educated class were lost to execution or exile. Schools were shuttered and children were forced into labor camps. Though the regime fell in 1979, a whole generation of Cambodia's best and brightest had been lost.
During the early 90s, when Cambodia was starting out and rebuilding its country, if you had a high school diploma, you could become a judge. So it was really starting over. It was truly peace building and state building.
Today, around 1 in 5 Cambodian adults is illiterate, the second highest proportion in ASEAN. And even for those who make it to university, STEM fields are undersubscribed. Just a third of Cambodia's graduates choose technical fields, a critical need for a nation eyeing an AI-driven future.
STEM majors in Cambodia are often more expensive, harder, and take a longer time to complete compared to social science majors. But I think another key reason has to do with the science and math foundation as well. 80% of students who chose science track during their high school years ended up switching to social science majors at the university because they were not confident about their maths and science abilities.
And even when Cambodia produces skilled engineers and developers, retaining them becomes another obstacle.
Everyone is competing for a very small pool of very highly skilled people. And countries like Singapore and even Thailand or Malaysia would be better placed to attract those skills. The pay is a lot better, right? The living conditions are a lot better. So Cambodia has to compete with those packages available in the more developed countries.
Now, in terms of attracting talent, that is an issue. But what we've been prioritizing is Cambodians who are currently abroad. We engage with the Cambodian community, especially who are working abroad, and learning from them about what they're doing and seeking their interests if they ever want to come back and help, and what their plans and goals are.
And if people are the software, Cambodia also grapples with limitations of hardware, the infrastructure needed for AI development and deployment.
I think AI readiness, it really presumes a couple of things. It presumes a fundamental level of infrastructure. So very hard to do this without power, without connectivity. Computational power is the hardest one because we all know that these sort of high-end chips are very expensive. Access to computational power is very hard for everyone. Even for countries like Singapore, we don't always have enough.
You could say we started late. Our internet connectivity only become widespread and everyone is able to use that only in the past decade or so. We don't have the infrastructure and internet connectivity.
Cambodia currently has just a handful of commercial data centers, none powerful enough to train advanced AI systems. By comparison, neighboring Thailand has over 40, many of which are AI capable. Cambodia can draw on overseas facilities, but that reliance carries risks.
Yeah, so a different kind of risk in the AI space is if you become overly dependent on one supplier or one company or one country who can then hold you to ransom. It's a matter really of trying to work out, okay, how exposed to risk do you want to be? How exposed to one country do you want to be?
relying solely on cloud service providers or data centers abroad can create certain risks and limits Cambodia's own data sovereignty. For Cambodia, we want to be able to have that ability to provide services to small, medium enterprises as well as our people, where they know that there's a data center that they can utilize for whatever purpose based on the sensitivities and classifications of their data.
But running high-capacity data centers is expensive. AI computing is notoriously energy-intensive.
For example, per ChatGPT search is 0.3 watt-hour. You light up an LED bulb for a few minutes, or maybe running our computer for a few minutes, that's 0.3 watt-hour. While we're enjoying all the beautiful answers from ChatGPT, there is the huge energy guzzler behind, which is actually data centers and computing chips that is consuming the huge amount of energy without us knowing.
Yet, in Cambodia, electricity costs 14 cents per kilowatt hour, significantly more than in Thailand or Vietnam, because of reliance on imported energy and limited electrical infrastructure. Meanwhile, back in the Hun Sen Prekside Upper Secondary School in Kandal, IT class is wrapping up. Sometimes during lessons, the teachers and students encounter one more hurdle to Cambodia's AI adoption: internet lag.
ប្រព័ន្ធអ៊ីនធឺណិតហ្នឹងមានដូចថាវារៀងស្ទើរវារៀងតូចអ្នកខ្លះកូនខ្លះគាត់នៅពេលតែបើកទៅគាត់បើកអត់ចេញមានបញ្ហាអញ្ចឹងវាធ្វើឲ្យយឺតមេរៀន
For many AI applications, such as real-time data processing for self-driving cars, a high-speed, low-latency network is crucial. Cambodia's internet penetration rate is about 61%, and most mobile connections run on 4G. 5G coverage began only in January this year.
There needs to be more reliable internet connectivity. That's why we're building more base stations, more antenna towers, and laying more fiber optic cables. It is the ministry's goal to connect every commune with fiber optic cables in the country by 2027.
With obstacles like these, what is being done to close the AI gap in Cambodia and beyond? Mobile phone penetration is remarkably high in Cambodia, averaging 1.4 phones per person. Yet, most Cambodians rarely text.
Because of the complexity of the language, a lot of people communicate using voice messages rather than typing.
Khmer holds the Guinness World Record for the largest alphabet, 74 common characters compared to 26 in English. That linguistic complexity poses a hurdle for artificial intelligence. For AI to handle queries in a vernacular, it must first understand the vocabulary, grammar, and syntax of the language. To do this, the AI is trained on a dataset in that language, a problem when it comes to Khmer.
You need well-organized data, and this is an area where developing countries sometimes struggle because they don't have necessarily good records, in particular digitized records.
Culturally, also Cambodian talk a lot, right? We don't write that much on social media. So this translates to a low data set situations. Economically, global giant tech company don't also really interested to make technology for a small economy because they don't make money, right? So I think this kind of situation creates a kind of scarcity of data set in Khmer.
Sorpiap Singh heads the Cambodia Academy of Digital Technology, a state-run higher education and research institute. His team is working to solve the data problem.
I think the most urgent for Cambodia, for now, as we say, will be on availability of good quality data set in Khmer. So CDT we use technology for Khmer language, such as basic tool for language processing, speech recognition, text-to-speech, text understanding, translations. And AI tool allow us to do those jobs better because now we have access to more deep learning tools for language technology.
One of the projects that CADT is working on is a Khmer to Braille translation tool. The machine's output can then be printed for use in classrooms.
So project like Khmer language mold that really start to build the foundation of the sovereignty of the Khmer language, I think is something that excites a lot of young people.
Simply because our farming advice is not fast and easy to find. 70%
Agritech built the agricultural assistant on Khmer to cater to their end users, home growers.
Mostly farmers prefer voice more than text because voice is much quicker for them. They can speak in chatbot in Khmer, so we designed with an instant Khmer language farming assistant.
Today is a big day for Meng Hua and his team. They're at the finish line of the Act Smart incubation program. It's organized by Smart Axiata, a local telecom provider. After months of development, the Agritech team is ready for their final pitch. The goal? Secure $8,000 in funding to take their vision to the next level.
So with $8,000, we spend 70% of the money on the product MVP and also spending money on the marketing and also the building the data set.
There's a growing appetite for digital solutions in Cambodia. Of the country's 200+ startups, 3 in 5 are in the tech sector. Still, Cambodian tech firms face an uphill battle in raising capital. Here, startup funding stands at roughly $16 million, modest compared to Vietnam's $400 million.
To gain the experience and the knowledge and the scalability in Cambodia, while being in Cambodia, is very hard because we have a lot of obstacles, both lack of funding, and because when we look at the international investors and present them, we focus on Cambodia first. And they would say this is too small, not in their radar, this kind of thing.
The issue of investments raises a larger question at the national level. How will Cambodia fund its AI dreams? For example, in the capital Phnom Penh, a national data center is being built. The 12-story facility costs about $30 million. $16 million came from a Japanese grant.
We believe that with a data center in the country, we will be able to lower costs. And SMEs or any companies that have any concerns about privacy or having their data stored abroad, they can fully utilize the national data center, which will be established at our digital park. The purpose of having a digital park is to attract foreign investments, as well as raise awareness and promote digital technology within the country.
AI and other essential infrastructure are prime candidates for greater investment. So you can only get those investments either through FDI or borrowings. FDI, this very competitive environment there to attract investments in these areas, especially when the infrastructure is weak and you need the investments to build that infrastructure. So you must include borrowings to build up the attractiveness for future FDI. Cambodia's debt to GDP ratio is too low, right? It's around 30%. So raising the debt levels in a careful, sensible way using independent cost-benefit analysis is going to benefit Cambodia in preparing for greater AI adoption.
Cambodia approved over $10 billion in investments in 2025, a record amount. Yet recent events may be cooling foreign investors' appetite.
ខ្ញុំឈ្មោះវ៉ាន់សុផាអាយុ46ឆ្នាំពីកាលឡើងដំបូងខ្ញុំមើលតាម Facebook គេថត Facebook គេបង្ហោះថាខ្ចីកម្ចីតាមអនឡាញអត់គិតការប្រាក់អស់តែខ្ញុំក៏ដាក់ពាក្យទៅគេគិតសេវាខ្ញុំដំបូងខ្ញុំខ្ចី 2000 គិតសេវា150បានរយៈពេល2ឆ្នាំវាអត់ទាន់បានលុយនោះទេមកខុសអាកង់ដែលខ្ញុំបាញ់យកគណនីហ្នឹងបាញ់ទៅហ្នឹងគេថាខុសអាហ្នឹងគេតម្រូវឲ្យកែអាហ្នឹងគេឲ្យខ្ញុំបាញ់569 ថែម569ទៅទៀតបាញ់ទៅទៀតហើយគេថាខុសអាហ្នឹងទៀតបាញ់រហូតតដល់ថាវាចង់អស់ហើយហ្នឹងដល់ថាយករបស់ទៅលក់ប្រចាំឲ្យគេហើយអស់លទ្ធភាពខ្ញុំតែឆាតសួរថាគ្រូខ្ញុំអស់លទ្ធភាពហើយគាត់ថាបើឲ្យបាញ់មកតែលុយបានត្រឡប់ទៅវិញទេហើយដល់ពេលខ្ញុំមិនអស់ចិត្តខ្ញុំទៅសួរធនាគារកាន់អាទូរស័ព្ទទៅសួរធនាគារថាមកចាញ់បោកគេហើយវាដែរធនាគារណាបាញ់លុយមុនទេ
A 2025 Amnesty International report estimates that at least 53 scam centers operate in Cambodia. Authorities estimate tens of thousands are forced to labor in these crime hubs. The victims include both foreigners and locals.
លេងគិតអីទាំងអស់ហើយឃើញឡានមកដូចថាអត់មានឡានអ្នកលក់កាហ្វេនៅមុខអញ្ចឹងគាត់ទៅហក់ទៅចាប់ទាញខ្ញុំមកហ្នឹង
While visiting the US, Cambodian Deputy Prime Minister Chan Thon-san admitted the scam and human trafficking issue has dampened his efforts to attract FDI.
The concern is that when institutions are relatively weak and the opportunities to rent seek are high, that's a horrible combination in a poor country, right? And that's something I think Cambodia and other countries at their stage of development need to be particularly concerned about.
The presence of these scam centers creates severe data security concerns. These fraud factories steal data and exploit it to scam their victims. One survey found that a majority of Cambodians had extreme concerns regarding the security of their personal data.
I think in order to adopt AI, people need basic security protocols, and so cybersecurity, data protection, because you don't want people hacking into your systems, otherwise you can't trust them, you don't want them stealing your personal data, or you won't trust them.
Two other main laws we're currently working on is the cybersecurity law and the data protection law. These laws are being prepared in order to respond to any of the risks that come when you push for digital transformation. We hope for both laws to be adopted in 2026.
I think having the regulatory documents is one thing, but enforcement is another thing. So I think that partly the law might not catch up because AI is evolving very fast.
Oxford Insights highlighted a gap in Cambodia's ability to turn AI plans into effective policy.
In a small country or a developing country like Cambodia, I think really the government has a key role to play in demonstrating positive use cases and raising confidence levels in AI. If people don't trust AI, then they're not really going to be able to take advantage of it, and the benefits won't distribute through the economy.
As Cambodia pushes hard towards an AI future, what opportunities abound for those who can adapt? And what happens to those who are displaced? Over 2 decades ago, Sopyap Singh received a rare opportunity. A scholarship from the French government to study computer science at Grenoble University. When he graduated in 2002, a choice lay before him.
When you finish your study abroad, there are two opportunities, right? Or you stay, work there, or you come back to your country. In European country, in France, I can be successful, but with me or without me, I don't think it make a difference anymore, right? But in Cambodia, back into Cambodia in 2002, 2003, I can see that with the skill that I have, I can really make a difference in a day-to-day basis.
Today, his institution, the Cambodia Academy of Digital Technology, wants to nurture the next generation of Cambodian engineers.
We do a program called Coding Heroes, a ICT volunteer program that we send young people in university to teach digital skill in high school or primary school in rural area. We have the youngest population in ASEAN. 60% of population is under 35 years old. And I think that the beauty of young people is that they can learn this technology very fast.
Kumpi too has a training program for youths. 19-year-old Sif Cheng Kyang is currently an apprentice at this company. Under a work for training model, these students provide labor for the company's projects in exchange for mentorship in programming, English, and business operations.
មុននឹងខ្ញុំមកកំពីនេះខ្ញុំអត់ដែលស្គាល់អីថាកូដសរសេររបៀបម៉េចទេហើយអ៊ីនធឺណិតហ្នឹងក៏អត់សូវពេលអត់ទាន់មកនៅហ្នឹងបន្ទាប់ពីមកបានមួយឆ្នាំខ្ញុំគិតថាខ្ញុំអាចប្រឡូកបានដោយបានរៀនបានច្រើនហើយយល់ច្បាស់ខ្ញុំរៀនបានប្រើជំនួយដោយ AI ដូច ChatGPT ហើយនិង Claude ដើម្បីឲ្យពួកគាត់យល់កូដដែលខ្ញុំអត់យល់
The government's national AI strategy identified the dearth of talent as a crucial hurdle. Consequently, growing human capital is a top priority. Cambodia wants to train 1,000 technical talents in AI, data science, and related areas by 2030.
We want students to take up concentrations and majors within the digital sector because they will later be the ones who will be promoting and helping to contribute to Cambodia's digital development. In the past 4 years, we've issued 3,500 scholarships and loans. We sent bright Cambodian students to France, for example, to learn more about digital technology, PhD programs, master's programs, and then they come back and help develop their country.
The real delta, the real area of variation is talent. And I think it's in talent that many developing countries face a risk because they're not always able to educate their young population, but also an opportunity because those young populations tend to be much more digital savvy than grey hairs like me.
There needs to be a combination of the two. You've got to invest in your domestic education of locals as well as import skills where you can.
Developing tech talent is just one part of the picture. With AI adoption, retraining the rest of the workforce becomes an imperative. In 2016, the International Labour Organization estimated that 57% of all Cambodian workers, or over 4 million jobs, could be displaced by automation.
So if we bring AI to do the work of low-skilled workers and without reskilling them, then there might be a risk of a social problem like unemployment. Socially speaking, there is a risk of a two-speed economy. It's a situation in which a small group of tech-savvy people is getting ahead while the rest of the workforce is lagging behind or feel like the world is moving on without them.
In Cambodia, the textiles industry employs almost 1 million people. 88% of jobs in textiles are at high risk of becoming automated by 2030. Sofa Von has worked in a garment factory for the last 7 years. She's in charge of sewing trouser legs.
មិនបារម្ភហ្នឹងតែបារម្ភគាត់ថាបើគេប្រើម៉ាស៊ីនអីជំនួសមនុស្សចាប់ហើយកូនខ្មែរអត់មានការងារធ្វើហើយចំណូលលែងបានបណ្ដោយ
These are workers that are not easily placed in new occupations or new industries, right? They are not very mobile in terms of their skills that they bring. So short run it'll be disruptive and costly, but longer term you can see a lot of potential productivity gains across a wide spectrum of industries.
The World Economic Forum estimates that AI and automation could displace 85 to 92 million jobs worldwide. At the same time, the technology could create around 170 million new AI-related roles. But because of the digital divide, many of these new jobs may emerge in different countries from the ones that lose them.
The challenge here is that AI is happening so quickly and the potential disruption is so fast that it might be very hard for people to retrain if there are even jobs to go into at all.
I think at the current wage rates in Cambodia, the benefits of switching to mechanization are not yet self-evident. At these wage rates, which are still very low, mechanization is not an imperative. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but we're heading in that direction as wages creep up.
This is a constant concern of the ministry as well. And so within the national AI strategy, we've included and prioritized action points on reskilling and upskilling in order to promote and ensure that those who are vulnerable to losing their jobs because of AI are upskilled and is not left behind as part of Cambodia's digital development.
And with just about 30% of the population possessing basic digital literacy, the age of AI brings another challenge for Cambodians.
They need to be aware of AI, what AI technology can do, especially even with the rise of fake news. Sometimes we don't know what kind of news or what picture is real or not anymore.
If you want to generate human-like text, images, even voice cloning, generative AI is a great tool for all the positive use cases, but also for scamming. So I think in particular, governments around the world, and I include Cambodia, should be paying attention to how they can demonstrate good faith actions to minimize this kind of misuse of technology.
Despite these challenges and risks, there's good reason for countries like Cambodia to bridge the AI divide. By 2030, artificial intelligence could add $3.35 to $6.7 billion to Cambodia's economy, according to government estimates, a boost of some 5 to 10% in GDP. The kingdom hopes to reach high income status by 2050.
I think for its aim of becoming a high-income country by 2050, AI will have to play an important role. I think the fact that the policy direction is very clear from the government to aggressively promote adoption and increase preparation, this gives them the edge over other countries that are also aware of AI and wanting to absorb it, but probably less aggressively than Cambodia.
Every state, every country, every government is trying to figure out how to deal with this kind of explosion of AI. What are the risks that come with it, but also what are the benefits? Everybody is utilizing AI as much as possible. If Cambodia doesn't do it, then we'll fall behind. We'll fall behind not only in terms of economic development, but also social development.
And I think this is what the national AI strategy is about. How to make sure that Cambodia workforce at different level, from student, citizen to expert workforce, start to adopt AI effectively to make sure that they stay competitive.
Cheng, for one, is excited about the future. He hopes to keep learning what he can at Kumpi and ultimately become a software developer.
អត់ភ័យទេបងរៀននេះបានរៀនច្រើនហើយបានមានបងគាត់មានបទពិសោធន៍ជួយណែនាំរយៈពេល5ឆ្នាំទៅខាងមុខទៀតខ្ញុំគិតថានឹងសម្បូរការងារធ្វើបងដោយសាររដ្ឋាភិបាលឬក៏ប្រទេសយើងតម្រូវការ coding ច្រើនបងដើម្បីអភិវឌ្ឍប្រទេស